Welcome to the Available Post Podcast. I'm your host, Callum, and I am speaking out into the void, hoping, begging, praying someone listens to all these weird things I have to say today. Before we get too far into this nice, lovely episode, I'd like to thank who made this possible. The Post Unavailable Podcast. It's a podcast for available casters by available casters. Follow these 3 to 4 handsome boys as they delve into Rule 34 of all of your favorite childhood memories. And, although separately, thankfully, have some episodes about 50% of episodes about monkeys for some reason. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but that's just the way they are. Download, engage with, experience the mystery. That is the Post Unavailable Podcast in all locations where you may find your podcast stuff. Well, that's my ad. They didn't pay me, but I did it. Hopefully I never have to do that again. So, what we're going to do today, first episode, best episode, this is going to be a rockin' podcast, I can guarantee you. I'm just going to start talking about things I feel like talking about. So, first topic we got on this docket today, we're talking about benning. Now, you're probably thinking, Calum, I've never heard about benning. Benning doesn't exist. Benning doesn't even exist. And I'm going to tell you that's something you've probably been benned. You've been benned. You just didn't know you were benned. That's the idea. So, musicians, creatives, everyone, people who have lots of parasocial relationships they don't know about, but other people definitely know about, usually the parasocial ones. You've probably been banned in public somewhere if you've done a live performance. So, let me set the stage. You just finished playing a show. You're a musician. You're a little small musician, so you gotta unpack your stuff yourself. Someone comes around, and you get singled out and you get started talking to, usually by a man, usually in their mid-40s to mid-50s. They're drunk. They engage you in a conversation you can't escape. They start telling you about how the Kiss Army is going to beat up, paraphrasing there, beat up the lovely Black Sabbath Army because they're a stronger army. You look at the clock. You notice you've been engaged with this man for 45 minutes with no escape. And as your bandmates just stare at you, they wonder, why hasn't he helped us take down all of his drums? And the answer is, you've been benned. People get benned when they are, they're entrapped. They're basically entrapped into a conversation they don't want to have. They don't want to be there. They don't want to do it. I think this probably happens to women every single day. I think this probably happens to definitely people other than just musicians. There's no way it's just a musician thing. There's a constant benning epidemic that's happening. And I'd like to point out that now you have a terminology for what it is when that person comes up and talks to you forever. Can you escape a benning? Not really. What you need is outside help. So, you go out there and you ask your bandmates, you give them the look. You look at them right in the eyes. Sad, desperate, and they have to come up and they have to help you out of the conversation. Because the thing about a band is that they're erratic. They're drunk or on drugs or something. So you don't just want to say like, hey man, sorry, I gotta go, because they might follow you. But if a bandmate comes over and says, hey, you gotta clean this stuff up, let's go, we gotta get out of here, then usually the band will be like, oh, there's 2 of them. My bend powers only work when there's 1, and they kind of latch on. That's my little advice about benning. That's the definition of benning. It's a vague definition. But you know what? The world's a vague place. The world is a strange place. And that brings me to my next topic. We're done with benning. I'll never talk about benning again. Don't you worry about that. My next topic is sometimes things need to be created. And not by AIs. AIs, see, they make commercial products. And who wants commercial products? That's why, if you notice, earlier today, earlier today, whatever day it is that I'm uploading this, who knows? I wonder what day that is. A nice album I remastered came out called Slopboxing. And what Slopboxing is this: it's an experience. You have to listen to it for yourself. But it uses mouths for noises. And that's great. And that's what it is. An AI wouldn't have done that. You could even type in the description of Slopboxing into an AI music generator, and they will never come up with something as experiential as that. But then there's also ephemeral art, which is something that AI could never capture either. Something that's just a blip and then it goes away. I got a couple examples. I was in a band called, well, I'm in a band called Teleportoise. Listen to Teleportoise on Spotify, Google Play, and all your other forms of musical listening. Just listen to Teleportoise. When the numbers go up, I get happy. You know? That's just the way that is. So, we got all that going on, right? So we do Teleportoise. We play real shows. We do that. Sometimes, we'll do something else. They'll be like, hey man, do you guys want to play this show? And if we don't fit in the show, sometimes we'll just think of something new. We'll be like, you know what? I don't know what this show is. I don't know what it's about. I don't know any of these bands. I don't know like what the crowd's gonna be. We're gonna play with a bunch of like soft rock stuff because we're pretty heavy, so we're gonna switch it up. So recently we decided to play an acoustic set. And that was kind of cool. I played stand-up bass. It was a fun time. We played a song, and then we'll never do that again. And that is the kind of ephemeral thing that I think we lose when we try and do AI art. Because the AI art will be on the internet forever, but like no one's ever gonna see that thing again. Like 12 people will be like, oh yeah, that one time I saw Teleportoise. Like they had a stand-up bass and an acoustic guitar and a drum machine. And everyone's gonna be like, no, you didn't. You never saw that. Or the time we did Graham's Packed Lunch at a thing called Rockzilla Fest. I don't think there's any footage of that, but we wrote and played 4 new songs. Or not 4, it was like, I think it was a full set of 6 songs made, played. We had a friend from a band called Quiet Lakes come join us. And yeah, we played those songs live. Never recorded them. Never played them again. I've forgotten how they sound. I forgot how they are. And that's kind of fun. That's like, it's a decent, fun time of things we do that AI could never generate. How did I even get to this topic? Why am I even talking about AI? I don't know. Maybe AI is trying to take over or something. You know what I'll never take over? Awful podcasts. It could never take over a podcast like this. What would it say? It would just be forever nothing. It would devolve into something random, like, I don't know, maybe talking about Hobbs and Shaw. The goddamn worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I made my short video, and that video, I think, concisely describes how much I don't like Hobbs and Shaw. You know, it is an exercise in misery. I did die while I'm watching it, but like, I'm going to go in a little bit of depth on how it is, right? So, I mean, the movie started, the first time I watched the movie, because I've seen the movie 1.5 times. First time I watched the movie, we thought it was Fast and Furious 8. We thought it was like the next in the line of the Fast and Furious movies. You know, The Rock's there. We got Jason Statham. It's a fun time. We're like, okay, well, we were going through and watching all the Fast and Furious movies. We said, okay, well, Hobbs and Shaw, sure, whatever. Put it on. Slap it on our streaming platform. And it felt different. It was very strange. There was no racing. There was just 2 eggs fighting each other for no reason. It didn't follow the plot line of any of the other movies. And to say the least, we were very confused. But we started watching it again, and, you know, it was kind of fun at the beginning when, you know, Idris Elba comes and steals the woman. Steals the woman, and then The Rock literally jumps out the window at the guy running down the building, which is a ridiculous scene. That was fun, and that was the climax and the only good part of the movie. Because then the rest of it was about family, but not in like a fun or clever written way, the way that like the Fast and Furious movies are. That was kind of strange. Didn't understand that very much. I called most of the jokes like 3 seconds after I said babushka. The Rock said babushka. That was dumb. I really hated that. Hated every second of that, actually. I unimaginably hated that. Um, I made a joke saying like the only thing to make this movie worse would that if like Chris Rock and Gal Gadot showed up, and there he was 3 seconds later, Chris Rock on the goddamn plane saying stupid stuff, being, his himself in a movie where everyone's just themselves. Deadpool was there. That was stupid. Hated that. Why is he there? Why is he a goof? I don't understand. There's going to be a Hobbs and Shaw 2, which makes me so mad. There's a time in the movie where Jason Statham was driving in a car and all he did was talk out of the side of his mouth for no reason. There's no point of that. When The Rock and Jason Statham have to double team Idris Elba, I was checked out. I was completely checked out. Like, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen in terms of like filming or like, even acting. Just like the soullessness. It felt like an AI said like what will make money. But I guess like Disney is basically just an AI like machine. Like they just have the notes on their paper. They've already written it all down and some exec is just saying like follow these commands. And that's what's the difference between that and an AI following the commands? There's not much difference. It's just here's the prompts, program it, and put it into this movie. Make sure there's a nice family overarching theme because that's what these movies are about. Which they're not. It's not. It's awful. Hobbs and Shaw makes me. The more I'm thinking about it now, I'm starting to sweat. I'm getting mad. About Hobbs and Shaw. So I'm going to stop talking about Hobbs and Shaw for now. And I'm going to start talking about... Oh no. I have one more topic left. This didn't take any time at all. But that's okay. That's what this is about. This was an experiment. It's going to be good. We're going to have lots of stuff going on. And I have a great gag coming up in the future. So just wait for that one. What I'm going to talk about now, though, is... of course you're a Magic nerd. If you're on my channel... You're listening to this podcast. You've listened to you've got this far in. Was it like 12 minutes or something? You've listened 12 minutes of me rambling into a microphone. You're gonna probably disagree with this take. I have no idea why Nexus of Fate is not banned or is not unbanned. Why is it not unbanned? Literally no idea. Okay, hear me out. People are playing things in Historic like they're coming down and they're playing their silly little green ley lines, and then they're turn 2 carning you, and then they're blowing up all your lands on turn 3. I can't play a 7 mana cost spell? Well, because it's not fun to play against? I have literally no idea. Like, it blows my mind why I can't play Nexus of Fate or Wilderness Reclamation in basically any format on Magic Arena when the decks on Magic Arena are way more toxic, way more insane. It's completely, it blows my mind. No idea why it's like that. I'm just thinking like the amount of cards that are unfun to play against. Like, does anyone really enjoy playing against Shieldred? Or is that just something that's like, wow, I guess that's in play. I guess I'm not allowed to draw cards anymore. I really wish my opponent didn't just gain all their life back when they drew their cards. Good thing it's a 4/5 death touch. Like, for 4 mana, I could play my Wilderness Reclamation where I just untap some lands and maybe counter a spell, maybe, if I'm lucky. Or they can play their 1-card combo, like, Shieldred, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, or they can just Mivix Mastery. They can... The stupid Grease Fang's a deck. You get turn 3, you literally get turn 3 combo killed if you don't have a removal spell. And people are worried about Nexus of Fate? Like, Nexus of Fate and Oko got banned at the same time. And, like, I'm not saying unban Oko. That would be stupid. Okay? Because, that would deal with all the problems in the format if you unban Oko, because the only problem in the format then would be Oko. But, like, Nexus of Fate, it's just, I guess, that people were crying about it. They didn't like playing against it. They didn't like how it was indeterminate win. But, like, there's so many other indeterminate wins. Like, you play against blue-white control, and you're like, well, I mean, they might have the counterspell. I gotta play around it, gotta do that. But it's like, what's the difference between that and them taking your time and, like, playing against the control deck, uh, other than playing against Nexus of Fate? I just want to take extra turns. Just let me use my stupid Wilderness Reclamation, which is another one where it's like, it's a 4 mana, it comes into play, and what, you untap 4 lands? You do something else? It's not, I don't think it's even that good, considering like half the black cards being printed and are played in the main deck now destroy enchantments. You have Beseju. Like, before Beseju, I get Wilderness Reclamation maybe being a problem, but like, if you're playing black or green, you have like 1,000 main deck ways to deal with it. People play Thoughtseize, okay? And sure, it keeps like decks fair, but you get double Thoughtseize in a game, and the game's over. That's not like, you're not really playing Magic against someone. You're just getting bopped by the Thoughtseize deck, unless you're playing mono red aggro. But I just, the whole idea of saying that this card is unfun to play against, so it should be banned. Ooh, I can't mill my opponent out because they keep on shuffling their deck. Doesn't make sense to me. It's ridiculous. Okay? Just let me play Nexus of Fate, Wizards of the Coast. I know you're listening, Wizards. I know you're listening to this podcast of all podcasts. Wizards of the Coast, right now, unban Nexus of Fate, unban Wilderness Reclamation. Just let me have fun with the cards I already have on your digital platform. That was my little Nexus of Fate rant. Hopefully you're Google searching what those cards are. Because, I mean, well, if you've played Magic at all in the past whatever time, you probably don't know what they are because they've been banned. But if you're old Magic boomer like me, bring back my extra turn spells. Okay? All right, so now for my favorite part of this, I'm going to call my brother, and he's going to let us know where you can find me. We'll see if he actually answers. It's not like he's not picking up. You have reached the voicemail box of... Well, he didn't pick up, so he ruined my bit. I was going to ask Basie where he could find us. Because that's what they do at the Post Unavailable podcast. And then Basie would go and tell me a bunch of probably right-wing propaganda platforms or something, which you can't actually find me at. But what you can do is you can like, comment, and subscribe on this video. That's it. That's all I got. That's all the energy I have to talk at this microphone for right now. And that's what that is. Welcome. This is the first episode of the Available Post podcast, brought to you by the Post Unavailable podcast. It's a podcast for people that want to listen to me rant, by people who want to listen to me rant. And what am I going to say? That's it. That's the end of it. It's done. I probably won't ever make another one of these. This is the one thing. Happy April 1st. You guys and gals and everything in between and above and beyond. I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. And, well, I'm just going to keep on rambling. I'm going to drink my coffee as I go. You should also listen to Slopboxing. You know, I put a lot of work into that. Okay? Maybe not the animation, but I put a lot of work into mastering that album. All right? Put your headphones on. It's only 40 minutes. Whatever. Eat your lunch while you're listening to it. I don't really care. It's just listen. Listen. Experience. Have a good time. What are you doing? What's the matter for you? Huh? Yeah? Listen to Slopboxing. Listen to Teleportoise. Go watch the other Post Unavailable podcast. I mean, this was the Available Post podcast, but the Post Unavailable podcast, they do some stuff too. But I basically just made this as a weird advertisement for them and made this as unappealing as possible, so maybe their podcast might sound all right. You know? doing them a solid, okay? My brother's in the band, you know? Well, now that we've got on that accent, I don't edit. That's the problem here. See, I just don't edit things. So like halfway through this episode, I accidentally hit like the space bar and it stopped the recording. So now I have to try and splice two of these recordings together, and I don't know how to do that. I'm a one take Tony. And yeah, so I'm gonna see if I can do that. I have like free editing software, and I don't know how to edit video together. I know how to edit like music. Like if I did this in Cubase, I could have probably put it all together. I could have made myself have a funny voice too. But I don't need something to add to my funny voice. I already have kind of a funny voice, like not a funny like stand-up comic voice, but you know what I'm saying. And yeah, so that's kind of that. Maybe I will just ramble on for a whole bunch of time. I'm gonna be recording. I guess this is coming out not today, but like later today, I'm gonna be doing some Hump Day horror, and like you should definitely check that out. That's great. That's probably some of my best content I put up here. You should definitely watch my Magic content. I think I've been getting slightly better. Still not editing because I can't edit, as I just told you, but that's fine. You know, it's cool. I just sit up here. Maybe I'll make it. You know what? Maybe I do like this. Maybe I do just like sitting in front of this computer talking at myself into the void, hoping people listen. Well, like, the Available Post podcast, I got some great like commissioned artwork from my sister-in-law to do the actual like logo there, and then I ruined it with like the draw feature on Microsoft Paint, I guess. I used a little stylus to write Available Post podcast. I think you can tell the detail I put into it is really good. No, maybe I'm not doing much justice to the thing behind it, which is a really cool. It's a really cool plaque I have in my kitchen. Actually, it's really nice. I got it for my wedded, when I got wed and all that. But that was kind of fun. Yeah. I think I've been benning you this whole time, to be completely honest. If you listen to this whole thing, you've basically been benned. Welcome to the Bendom, son.